decided not to because that's me. So if you look at this side over here, my argument is that it does not behave like an existing asset class most of the time. And so the latest revenue ruling said, when you went forks, for instance, when you have a fork currency and an airdrop, what you have is an ascension to wealth, right? You're getting something of value, and anytime you get something of value, you have to pay tax on that thing. So I want to know, does that still apply in dominion and control, of course? Did these two phrases apply when an asset can be losslessly replicated? And so what do I mean by losslessly replicated? It's creating a copy of something so perfect that there's no distinguishing characteristics between the original and the copy. The copy is exactly the same as the original in absolutely every way. And so so I have over here, this is kind of like, I'm trying to illustrate an actual example here where this becomes a problem. This is an example of a blockchain private key right here. Private keys are really the only keys. Public keys, public addresses, which is this right here, is derived from a private key. So that's the way blockchains work, access to blockchains. You don't actually possess digital currency. Nobody possesses it. You can't hold it. What you can do is you can know a private key. And if you know the private key, you have access to that Bitcoin, or that digital currency. And you can tell people this is where it sits, but that's like showing somebody a picture of your house, and this is like giving them the keys to your house. So now here's the gotcha thing. This is a private key. This is a real live private key. There's actually money in this private key, okay? It's $1. I'm not gonna give you a bunch of money. But let's just make an argument here. What if there was $1 million in value in this key? That's my private key. Everybody in this room, if you knew how to right now, you could take my $1 million. But I can tell you absolutely 100% sure that everybody in this room can take my $1. Anyone that's doing this right now, I don't see anyone doing it, this is very good, but you can take that $1. So why am I doing this silly example? Because you've all had an ascension to wealth. You've all just been given $1. You've also been given the exact same $1. This is why it's so important to understand that blockchain technology is a different type of asset. It's a different, you can't do this. If I take a dollar bill out of my pocket, I can give that dollar bill to someone, but I can't give that $1 to everyone in this room. You can do that with Bitcoin. This is Dash, by the way, if anyone really wants to steal it. I'm gonna leave it, by the way. I'm gonna leave it and see how long it takes someone to take it. I think it's hilarious because it's like the IRS just doesn't get it. And I thought that they did get it. I thought that they were kind of playing coy. Like they knew the rules. They were just as expert in this technology as anyone working in the field. I now don't believe that based on the latest guidelines, because does everybody now have this key? It's here. You can write it down. You can look at it. Maybe you have a photogenic memory. Maybe you're going to get a copy of the slides that are going to be made available to everybody in this room and everybody else out there. So everyone at this conference that's going to see this has an ascension to wealth. I think. Maybe. It doesn't make sense, but it's the exact same $1. Someone's going to get a lucky $1. So airdrops and forks. It's more complicated. Right? You can't just simply say you've received a fork currency and therefore you have something of value. You can't, even if you could force it on somebody, you still have this situation. What if somebody steals my private key? Or what if I just share a wallet? What if I have maybe my parents, let's say my parents, they're old and they're, I don't know. For some reason I'm sharing a wallet with somebody. Is it their money or is it my money? So you have this popular phrase, I'll say Andreas Antonopoulos is the one who said, your keys, your Bitcoin, not your keys, not your Bitcoin. Well, what if it gets more complicated and then everybody has the same key? Everybody has the same Bitcoin, or in this case, Dash. And so, sorry, but next year, if we're going to be asked at any time during 2019, which is right now, did you receive, yes, everybody in this room received, sell, send, exchange, or otherwise acquire any financial interest in any digital currency. So I expect everyone in this room, and for that matter, everyone in the conference, to check that box because it's true. And even if somebody takes that $1 in Dash, and even if they take that and they spend it or they transfer it somewhere else, there's no way for me to prove it wasn't me. There's no way for you to prove it wasn't you. So either way, not only did you have to pay income on it, but if someone in this room takes that, injects that private key into their own wallet, spends it, does everyone have a gain or a loss? And by the way, it's going to be a gain because it's like $1.10 now. So do we have to report a gain on that? The way the IRS is kind of approaching this, I think the answer is yes on all of these questions by the letter of the law.